the Dancing Jaguar community. I am so excited to be here today. It's been a minute since we've done a live together, and I'm really excited about introducing you to our guest today. Merri Guggisberg is somebody I recently came connected with, and I have just fell in love with her and the work she is doing, and I find her inspiring. And I think that there are many people in the Dancing Jaguar community who would love to hear what she offers to families and um, parents, children. So I'm going to let her do all of the talking here. So Merri, welcome, and tell us a little bit about you and how you became so passionate to do your work with parents and families.
With pleasure, and thank you. And what an honor to join your community for this little opportunity to support you and families. So thanks. You did beautiful. Merri Guggisberg. I am the owner and founder of MKG Parent Coach. The M, the K, the G. People are like, oh, tell me more about that, right? I am the owner and founder, and what my mission is to bring that mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude into every parenting situation. Please know this ripples to all relationships. Your kids might be grown, your kids might be, maybe you never had children. Mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude, it's pretty transferable to all situations. So what brought me to do this work is I'm a mom, and I have two now adult kids who I'm thrilled to say we made it through the squabbles and the challenges, and my kids are friends. It's such a joy that my two children support each other, and they're friends with my partner and I. Like, they want to hang out with us. It's a new stage. It's super fun. What inspired me really branching into just doing my own thing is I was doing a lot of parent education workshops, and parents would come up afterwards and say, great information, help me apply this deeper into my own life. So they kind of wanted that hand-holding. Then I want to rewind one more part before I stop and just share, I'm adopted, and being a child who's adopted, I have really counted my blessings in the family that I was raised in and the family that I've been best myself and my partner to raise. So I guess my mission in life is family. Just, I want to celebrate family. And we're not born having a manual of how to care for our kids, right? It's skills that we learn as we're going. So that's where I get to do that hand-holding and support parents, caregivers, educators to just, how am I showing up and bringing that mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude.
Oh, that's beautiful. So how do you do your work with parents? Is it online, in person, groups, one-on-one? Tell us a little bit about your practice, and if somebody were thinking of working with you, what would it look like?
Thank you. Well, typically people start by meeting me through workshops. That's how I commonly meet people, and I do workshops online as well as virtual, like we're talking right now. We're in different parts of the United States, so here we are. But those workshops typically are in faith communities. I do a lot in churches. I'm in Minnesota, so I'm in a lot of churches. So they get to see me. We could shake hands. My coaching is done all through Zoom, how we're talking right now, whether it is an individual, it's co-parents, it's two raising the same kiddos, or I do have a group program as well. All of the true coaching I do online. I have learned that, well, we all know time is precious, but I have learned it's that journey to get to an appointment and then get back to work, or where I meet people where they're at, before their workday, during their workday, after their workday. It works perfect in scheduling, because they jump into a 1-hour call with me. We strategize, we celebrate, we strategize some more, we dive into those heavy issues, and then send them on their way, and we check in again. Sometimes it's a week later. Some people want every week check-ins. Most common is we have a break and then we have a week and then we have a break. So it's every other week.
Ah, I see. Okay. And do you ever do groups or programs for children, or is it mostly for the parents? How does that work?
Yeah. What I am passionate about is supporting the parent to show up, and then they're their first teacher, right? So how are we building our toolkits so that we're giving the tools, especially around emotional development? If we're naming our own emotions, that old say, right? Name it to tame it. Okay, the more we model, but I wasn't taught that when I was a child. We weren't taught that it's okay to name my feelings, and every feeling equals a need. And how do I mesh those two, bring those two together, and teach my kiddos that it's okay? It's okay to say what you need, because your feelings and needs, they support each other perfectly.
Oh, that's brilliant. I remember for me as well, I didn't grow up learning how to name my emotions. And gosh, I remember in a therapist's office in my early 20s having to look at smiley faces and figure out the emotions that I was seeing on the smiley face and being able to identify what that feeling was like. And I had to go through a process of
Yeah.
learning how to identify my feelings as a young adult.
Mhm.
And I am just guessing that you encounter many parents who have had that experience as well.
Oh, you named it exactly. When I'll say, okay, how does this feel? Where do you feel this in your body? And I literally have a client that has said, I must not have any feelings because I can't tell you where I feel it. And I'm like, okay, then we need to unpack it, because I guarantee it is showing up somewhere in your body. I like to use the iceberg analogy. Like, this is the behavior, but what's the emotions underneath? What's the impulses that are happening underneath? Because I'm pretty sure this is what we see. We see, or we're doing it to ourselves, that negative self-talk. We're maybe throwing a temper tantrum. We don't show the adults, we still throw temper tantrums, just not the same as the 2-year-old laying on the floor, kicking and rolling around, right? But what is that talk that's underneath? What am I experiencing? And what do I need to hold space for, so that I, as now the adult, can show up and really help my kiddos roll through. I liken emotions like the waves of an ocean. Oh, waves of the ocean, right? They come and they go back out. So there's no positive or negative emotions. It's, what do I feel? Oh, and now it's gone. And the more we have words, language to express that, it helps just, it helps me feel safe in my own body.
That's a great way to put that. It helps me feel safe in my own body. Yes. And I love the way you used the ocean as a metaphor for your feelings, because I too have done that. It's the
Mhm.
ebb and flow of the emotions. They're coming in, they peak, and then they recede. So that's a great analogy to use for naming emotions and experiencing them.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just curious about when you have parents who are challenged with not being able to feel the emotions in their bodies. Like, that's a whole process that I remember having to go through as a
Mhm.
young adult. And I'm just curious, like, can you share a little bit of about what that process looks like for an adult? It's almost like they're having to learn a new language.
Right.
Yes.
And to trust that what they're feeling in their body is, it's those waves, right? They come and they go. So one way that I have helped clients unpack that is literally just giving them a piece of, like, they'll grab a piece of paper and I'll say, okay, I'm just going to give you different words, and tell me where, jot on the paper, I felt this in my head, I felt this in my hands, I felt this. And I just have like a list of 15, 20 words. And if they still come back and say they can't feel it anywhere, then we do a grounding exercise. So, like, literally, let's clear those thoughts. Let's get here in this present moment. And now let's step into those words. Or I might pull out 20 different words, right? There's 80 some emotions that we we use the mad, sad, glad too quickly to, and even the word stressed. I've been sitting a lot in the word stress. Like, what does stressed mean to you? Because there's so many different layers of stress, so many different layers of anxiety. And I just help guide parents to just sit in that. And suddenly they'll be like, oh my gosh, my hands just started to tingle when we talked about that. Or my stomach, I just felt that in my stomach, in my chest. Mary, my head is pounding, my neck. I mean, they just literally, the more we keep unpacking it, the more they're like, I do feel these things. And then we move into calming techniques and we talk about when my thermometer is raising and my temperature is, maybe I'm going to have a hot moment. And parents come to me because they don't want to yell anymore at their kids. They're like, I feel like I have to yell to be heard in my own home. So we also unpack that. And we just strategize. What are some different calming techniques? And a simple one, I'll just throw really fast, is just go wash your hands. When you feel your temperature rising, wash your hands. And it just gives your brain that opportunity to get everything back in alignment. Catch your breath. I use pause acronym frequently. Just help me pause. And then I can move into it. Thanks.
I like that. Just go wash your hands. That is so simple, and yet it is so effective.
Yeah. And we know deep breaths. Everybody's like, just take a deep breath. But sometimes I can take a deep breath and wash my hands, and my kiddo doesn't realize I'm getting myself back in alignment. We can talk about it after the fact. Like, this is why I did what I did. And we want to strategize. We want to have those opportunities to tell our kiddos that I was in this state. This was what my feelings and needs were saying. This gave me an opportunity to address my own feelings, because this is what my need is.
So can we go to the mindfulness part of what you do? Because I had an interesting experience happen, and I love to use this in my group. So I just want to kind of share it with you and have you jump off and start sharing some stories about the parents you work with. I started studying mindfulness, and I heard that mindfulness can be a wonderful tool that creates a space between stimulus and response, where there's that space of choice comes in, observation, and you have a choice in how to respond to whatever the stimulus is. And I had this wonderful experience of seeing a conflict unfolding in front of me that normally would have triggered me, and I would have just instantaneously been into a state of anxiety. And I recognized in that moment that, having studied mindfulness for the few months that I had been studying, that I had created that space between stimulus and response. And I was actually experiencing that place of just observation and choice with how I was going to respond. And that became such a valuable tool for me. And that is a story that I share with my students when we start exploring mindfulness. So do you have any tips or insights that you could share with us about mindfulness, or any success stories with parents that you've experienced?
Yeah. And in mindfulness, I like to also, when I talk about mindfulness, is that being present. And I start by being present for myself. We know the phrase, right? Put your own oxygen mask on first. You can't pour from an empty cup. So we have to do that checks and balance with ourselves. And part of that is, what am I needing in this moment? And it's that pause again. This is how I feel. When this happened, this is how I feel or felt. This is what I need. And then you come to explore the options together. So you have, it's a form of, it's a short little formula that I try to share with families. When this happened, I felt this. Because I need this, can we explore together that solution? And what I'd love to send you is, I'll drop it in it's a feelings and needs sheet.
Great.
Yeah. So feelings, when my feelings are fulfilled, when they're not fulfilled, and then what my needs are, because we go to that mad, glad, sad so fast, right? And we forget that, oh, right now I'm feeling very comfortable. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling energetic. And I have a need for, and you can just, because we those words aren't natural. I think because of what we both said, right? We weren't raised to feel okay to verbally share.
Yep.
Where I think the safer we feel in our own bodies, the easier it is to even walk into these conversations. The more comfortable I am to tell my partner, my friends, my boss, this is what I need. Because now I've practiced, back to your mindfulness, right? It's back to that, until I feel comfortable here, it's very hard for me to share what I need. Mm.
That's great. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the mindfulness. Let's talk about the kindness part and how you bring kindness into your work.
Yes, you know what? Yesterday was Valentine's, right? And it was so fun to guide clients into creating. Oh, I could even send you this one too. It's a things I love about you. Look at this
Oh,
fun activity. And it's 50 things. So they have 50 little boxes on here. Oh, maybe I don't even have 50. We'll say 20. I don't remember how many are on here. A bunch of little boxes to just say, I love your smile. I dreamt about you last night and I woke up smiling.
oh,
Whatever that is, that person that you're thinking of. And it doesn't have to be a child. It doesn't have to be, your partner. What if it's the letter carrier? And
mhm.
you know what? You always greet me with a wave. You always, whatever it is, these are what I love about the sales clerk that always is the person who's helping me with my groceries. What a treasure, what a value that creates. Ripple of kindness, right?
Mhm.
This week, in case you all didn't know, it's the random acts of kindness. This is the week we celebrate that, with Friday. This coming Friday is Random Acts of Kindness Day. So it's been a super fun week to just keep reminding my clients of the importance of showing and sharing kindness.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wonderful. And gosh, I forgot that Friday is Random Acts of Kindness Day. My graphic designer just sent to me a finished 50-page activity book for children on kindness.
Ah,
Coloring pages.
celebrate.
Yes, it's perfect. I'm going to put it out on my website on Friday. That's perfect.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. So, okay, so now let's get to the gratitude
Gratitude.
part.
Yeah. And isn't it sad when we talk gratitude, especially in a conversation like this, we frequently go to, oh, that's Thanksgiving, right? That's the
Mhm.
traditional, where I like to encourage families, what are you thankful for every day? And it could be down to, gosh, I have a roof over my head. I have running water in my house. We take so many things for granted. I got a hug from my kiddo today. I got a smile instead of cutting someone off in traffic. I mean, being thankful creates that empathy in us where I feel with the other person versus sympathy. Sympathy pushes relationships. I feel bad for you, where empathy is I feel with you. I want to just show how much I value someone else by showing gratitude. I love to even guide parents when their family is out for dinner, and encourage the kiddo to order for themselves at a restaurant, right? And then practice that. Thank you. Thank you. They hold the door for the person behind you. I mean, I'm talking minimal, minor little things that truly can show value in someone else's life. Yeah. If we teach this to our kiddos, oh my goodness, what kind of a generation are we creating that's coming after us?
It's so true. Yeah. I mean, it will be bringing heart-centered
Mm,
children into becoming heart-centered adults. And, I just feel like there are so many light workers like you and I who are passionate about bringing healing and love and
mm,
compassion and kindness into the world and really shifting the trajectory of the planet,
Yes.
and the energy of the planet. And it's the small things like that that will have a huge impact with that ripple effect that
Exactly.
each of us in our own little pockets of the world, we
Mhm.
are working with those children and families and creating those ripple effects everywhere we live in our communities.
Yeah, I want to build on that just for one moment because it also, let's bring it closer to a person's own home. And it means when my child, my loved one, you recently had a sibling stop by. So it is that putting those devices away and being present, checking in with myself, that's that present, that's mindfulness, right? And then showing up with love. The words that the other person is saying, just treasure them like you would the most amazing gift you were just ever given. Because I like to remind parents that I don't think they forget, but remind them that those first 18 years of your kiddo's life, they actually go like that. And wouldn't you just want to hold on to those treasured moments of my kiddo came home from school today, work and computer and phones all went right. They're taking a break because those first 8, 10, 15 minutes, I want to be present. I want to love the one I'm with is a phrase I love to share with families. You are here. I'm not going to let anything else interrupt. So it ties very well with the whole mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude. So thanks.
That is so true. And what a beautiful way to make sure a child knows how
Mhm.
much they are valued.
Yeah.
When things stop as they come through the door for that one-on-one connection,
Yeah.
and just that heart connection.
Mhm.
It's so important, and it can do so much for just allowing that child to soak in the
Yeah.
value of who they are when a parent puts their tablet aside and just takes
Mhm.
that heart space.
Yeah. And okay, so that's the kiddo version, but who doesn't treasure that? My best friend shows up and she or he is going to device free. They're going to look me in the eye and have conversations. We're not going to be distracted. Whether it's a partner, a child, your best friend, the person making your coffee in the morning. I mean, people just feel that love. And wouldn't we want, I crave more of that in our society because I think that's speaks to what I hope I'm coaching parents to spark in their own kiddos. It's a weird connection, I suppose, but it does make sense.
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
It does. And yeah, what a kinder place this world would be if we could all do that, right?
If we're seeing people
Yes.
where they're at. The world is hard, and I want to see everyone and just give them that love that I crave because I know everyone else craves it too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So going back to your work with parents,
Mhm.
do they typically work with you like one-on-one for, a couple of sessions, or is there like a months long program? Are you working with coaches with parents for like a year at a time? What does it look like when people work with you?
That's a really great question. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that. Yes, so I have a 6 session program. That's kind of like an introductory just to help go learn more about each other. Are we the right fit? And then I also have a 3-month program. And that's where are we meeting weekly or every other week? And I do have clients that have stayed on and they meet with me once a month and there's that weird year long. And what a gift, because at that point they're keeping their notes like, oh, when I meet with Mary next, I want to make sure we talk about da 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 da. And we start with those parent celebrations and then we go to the challenges. And maybe we go end then with, okay, now maybe that wasn't such a challenge. Maybe it was a celebration. We're helping our kids build resiliency. We are building resiliency. We're modeling that deep care. So yeah, I apologize. I should have mentioned the
Oh
how
no,
people.
we're going to fit all of it in.
Yeah.
No worries.
Good.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what other questions I may have around the coaching aspect of what you're doing. Have you ever, well, you mentioned doing presentations or programs
Yep.
in churches. So if people wanted to have you come to their church and do a program, what would that look like?
Yeah, so they're typically an hour to an hour and a half long, and I try to make them as engaging as possible. One that's a really popular ask is a title of the presentation is Calming the Chaos. You can imagine what we cover in that, right?
Yeah.
And it's what's lovely about it is when it's in a faith community, I usually get parents with similar age kiddos, but a message like Calm the Chaos, that fits all ages. If you have toddlers through that almost ready to be out of the house, right? Because I'm pretty sure everybody has a little bit of chaos in their homes. The
Yes.
other ones that get really highly requested is compassionate conversations. And we dive into what is listening and how do you listen? How do you practice that active and reflective listening? How do we use that little formula I just shared with you? What are the needs, the feelings, and how do we explore those together? And how it happens when I'm in person, I typically use a slideshow because I myself am a visual learner. So I like to have both. I do the slides and then people take notes and then they can turn and talk to their neighbor. That just helps those messages stick. If it's in the screen, I definitely do a slideshow because it's back to that holding their attention. Um, and because again, I've done many virtual workshops too. I mean, we kind of all had to, right? During that little season of safer at home.
Mhm.
And I have found people are more engaged when we do it online when they leave their cameras on. When people have turned their cameras off, and I'll toss out a question and say, hey, feel free to add it in the chat or unmute yourself. Um, the people that are on camera, they speak a lot faster than the people that aren't. So maybe we're a multitasking society. I'm not sure,
Mm,
but
that sounds
that's what I,
accurate.
yeah, that's one of the deeper observations I've had. So yeah.
That's interesting.
But it's fun. Isn't it a blessing that we can meet people where they're at? I can come into your office over your lunch hour and here we are, or whatever, because we do have the power of I can sit at my work desk, put in AirPods or whatever, headsets, whatever, and my coworkers, I'm taking my break now for the week or whatever, So it is building that toolkit as well as I can meet you during your workday and then you get to go home and practice whatever we're talking about with your loved ones. So
I know the power of the internet to be able to help us connect with our clients is amazing. I'm working with a woman in Malaysia right now. Like
wow.
she tunes in exactly what you said. She puts her earbuds on while she's at work. She takes her break. And last time we were on a call, somebody peeked in, into her office and she just kind of told them she was busy. But the power of the internet, the whole world opened up for me, through 2020 and 2021 because I was only working in person before. So it's a whole different world now, isn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know if we would have met, right? Because we're not in
Exactly.
the same town. So
No.
it's a joy that beautiful supports have been found. What I like to guide parents is that kiddos, that's how sometimes the kiddo finds their tribe is when they are into a certain game and they're finding their village in that game community, online gaming community, or fill in the blank. I'm into this type of art. Well, I don't have that type of art happening at my school, but I have that community online. So it's really no different for adults too, is we get that opportunity to be like, hey, I want to do a book club on whatever book, and I can't find it in my local library or my local community. I can jump into an online group and we can have a discussion about it. It's beautiful.
So true.
Yeah.
So is there, excuse me, is there anything else you can, oh, I need a sip of water.
No worries.
Oh, 1 second. Is there anything else you can think of that you would like to share with the Dancing Jaguar community before we
Yeah.
bring a close to our beautiful conversation we've had?
Well, the one thing I think that I probably should have said all along is it's that reminder that you're not alone. When a parent starts sharing something, especially in these workshops, whether it is online or personally, like we're sitting in the same community, one parent will say something and multiple heads will nod, or they'll be like, oh, that's me too. And that's, I think, the biggest thing to remind parents is you're not meant to do parenting alone. We need a village. Research shows all kiddos need 5 caring adults to become responsible caring adults themselves. And then I nudge parents and say that the 2, you and your co-parent, yeah, you're a given. So you still need 5. And it's that reminder that you are not alone. You're struggling with helping get your kiddo off devices. Yeah, every other parent in here as well. Or your challenge is you've lost your cool more than you intended, and you have to yell so that your kiddo is actually hearing you. You're not alone. You fill in the blank. I mean, there's challenges upon challenges, and it is just that reminder that you're not alone and there's hope. There truly is hope. Mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude, it's just one way of helping bring that hope into everyone's home.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. And how can people find you if they want to reach out to you? We will be putting all of your links in the comment section below, but would you
Awesome.
like to just share with them the best way to reach you?
Yeah, probably the fastest way is drop me an email. And what's fun is, I'm sure people will see, I have a really funny spelling of Merri. Thank you, Mom and Dad. It's Merri, and it's just that, Merri@mkgparentcoach.com. That part's easy. It's just remembering how to spell Merri. Or like you said, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm in Facebook. I have a Facebook group, which I consider that, those 5 caring adults for our kiddos. Oh, I miss saying, we need them too. We as adults need minimum of 5 caring people that I can turn to and say, hey, today's been a really heavy day. I need someone to help hold me too. So who's in and that's what I call my online private Facebook group. It's Parenting with Purpose, MKG. Back to that mindfulness, guidance, and gratitude. It's too many times I'm saying that. But also Instagram, LinkedIn, I have a YouTube channel. I mean, many of the social platforms. There's many that I'm not on too, but it's good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure having you in my orbit now. I love what you're doing, and I find you really inspiring and so heartfelt to have a conversation with. So thank you for being here. I so appreciate what you're doing. And everybody in the community, you can find her information below, and don't hesitate to reach out to her. She's a jewel.
Oh, bless you. And it's been a joy to be with you too. Thank you. Thanks for all you do too. It's a beautiful
Oh,
collaboration here.
thank you.
Bless you.